In the early 90s, the Blue Jays won back-to-back World Series titles. The Toronto Maple Leafs came within one win of playing in the Stanley Cup. Toronto was waiting for an NBA franchise, and even the Argos, who were owned by a group led by Wayne Gretzky and John Candy, were able to sign Heisman Trophy winner Rocket Ismail en route to a 1991 Grey Cup win. The future of Toronto sports looked bright. It is now 2011. And the Leafs haven't made the playoffs in 5 seasons. The Blue Jays' last taste of winning dates back to those early years. That NBA franchise, called the Raptors, started play in 1995, and they've appeared in the playoffs only 5 times in 15 seasons, winning only 1 round in 2001. What happened? And why does it seem that fans still support these teams, while ignoring the teams that won recently? Join us as we find out it's not all about winning. Detlev Zwick, Associate Professor of Marketing at Schulich School of Business.
In this world of sports fandom, fans stick with a team.
The Maple Leafs' struggles are stuff of legend. They have not won the Stanley Cup or appeared in a final since 1967. Aside from a few conference final appearances, the Leafs have not lit the NHL on fire by any stretch of the imagination. The recent years have been the most disappointing, though, leading some to cheer for other teams.
You guys ever get any chirps from your Toronto boys saying, "Why are you Penguins fans? You know what's going on here?"
Oh yeah, we get all the time, but we go right back. I mean, Pittsburgh won the Cup a couple of years ago, and it's been, what, 1967?
However, there are those that are steadfast in their support of the team.
All right, I'm here today with Bryan Hayes, the host of The Bill Waters Show and The Bryan Hayes Show from AM 640.
Yeah, I guess, there's a lot of optimism out there, a lot of Leaf fans that don't want to deal with reality. The fact is this team has struggled for years now. It's been 43 years since the last Cup, but for whatever reason, when you open up the phone lines, you receive emails, tweets, what have you, people sit there and say that this team's real close to winning a cup. Every game, they're the favorites. Every player on the team is the best player in the league. It's just overwhelming optimism.
I've been a diehard Leaf fan. I say they're going to make the playoffs every year.
Do you think the Leafs will make the playoffs this season?
Yes, I do.
They are going to make the playoffs.
Yes, they will squeak in on the very last weekend.
Half the people out there don't want to see the writing on the wall, so to speak, and the other half, I guess, are realists, and that's probably where I come in at. But I get beaked for it all the time. I mean, people constantly write me emails, call in, and say you're way too negative, you're way too, quote-unquote, realistic.
All right, I appreciate your time today, Bryan.
No problem.
I love Toronto to death. Maple Leafs my favorite team, but people need to stop saying winning the cup.
Like, they kind of come together at the end of the season when they know they can't make it. And they get close to a playoff spot, but they don't quite make it. How much did you guys pay for the tickets?
I don't want to say.
How is it possible that a product that underperforms can still generate this kind of demand? Okay, and I think that's the interesting. That's what makes Toronto an interesting place, because here you combine in a somewhat complicated way. You combine an almost European sense of commitment to the local team, okay, where you just stick with that team even though it's tough.
One of the biggest issues that plagues the Toronto Raptors is trying to market Toronto as a city to star players who they can build the franchise around. Damon Stoudemire, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, and most recently Chris Bosh have captured the attention of the fans and the rest of the league. They all came to us via the NBA draft, and they're all gone now, after realizing that Toronto wasn't a winner, and that it wasn't like home either.
Going to Toronto for them, even though Toronto has been the Raptors have been part of the NBA now for a long time, I can tell you that it's perceived as sort of an outpost, as sort of a different team, and definitely a different country, and it's not surprising to me that it's not high on the list.
The Raptors have had to rely on acquiring European players like Andrea Bargnani and Jose Calderon, who blend well with Toronto's diversity. Sometimes it doesn't work though, as with the case of Hito Turkoglu, who wanted to play in Toronto, but only stayed one season.
But the way he left, he really left a bad taste in our mouth.
Someone like Chris Bosch, I mean, I don't hold any grudge against Chris Bosch. I think that, I don't think he was a good enough player to hold a franchise on his back, and I think he realized that. Now, would it have been nice to have somebody better come in over top of him and play here? Absolutely. I don't know why he didn't talk Dwayne Wade into coming here.
It's a very difficult task for a Canadian franchise to play in what is essentially a U.S. league. And you're dealing with a set of players that is, 95% American and maybe 4.5% European, and then some others, including some Canadians.
Until Colangelo decides to bring in someone big, I don't know what else that we can do. We're playing with a bunch of small guys that once in a while pull off a good win, but it's not as entertaining. Not to say that Chris Bosch was the main show before, it's just you need a centerpiece.
What do you expect to happen here tonight in this Raptors game?
We're going to lose.
The Blue Jays have actually fared much better than their Toronto counterparts in the win-loss column, as they have finished above 500 in 8 of the past 13 seasons. But it's hard to make the playoffs in Major League Baseball, where only 8 teams make the postseason, compared to 16 teams in both the NHL and NBA. The Jays also play in one of the hardest divisions in all of sports, the American League East, where the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox outspend everyone in the league in order to sign elite players. All is not lost, however. Just ask the Tampa Bay Rays, who also play in the East, and are a model the Jays are looking to follow, with patience through seasons of turmoil that lead to high draft picks and a core of great young players. Unfortunately, whatever recent success the Jays have had, it is viewed as mediocre.
Essentially, the Blue Jays need to market themselves as a evening, fun, family entertainment product that competes directly with, movie theaters, the mall, if you will, or the symphony. It's because it does not hold the same kind of. It cannot really compete on expectations of success or of winning a championship. Let's talk about how great it is to have this venue, how great it is to have this team in town that brings these world-renowned clubs to town occasionally.
Yeah, we come here only to watch the superstars from the other teams.
Speaking of the Jays, are you excited about the Jays this year?
Yeah, they're in a good young direction. I like Anthopoulos. He has, he seems like he knows they're going. Like after the whole holiday trade, everyone thought they were basically going nowhere, but he's done a good job.
In Toronto, hockey is king. It's the Maple Leafs, and then it's everyone else. Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment owns the Leafs, the Raptors, and Toronto FC, Toronto's Major League Soccer franchise. And like any other business, it's just as important to make money as it is to win.
Toronto FC, for example, they already have a fan base now they can draw from. Their marketing costs can go down dramatically.
The most recent championships that have been won in Toronto have come from the Argonauts of the Canadian Football League, as well as the Rock and the Nationals, both from the world of lacrosse. So the city isn't completely desperate for winning teams.
Toronto power play goal, his 3rd goal of the season, scored by number 3,
Toronto is home to one of the most profitable and popular teams in the NHL. It is the only city in Canada with both a National Basketball Association and Major League Baseball franchise. Even though championship wins are few and far between, the fans still come out and support professional sports. Maybe they come to see the stars on the other team. Maybe they just want a night out. Or maybe, just maybe, they have more passion for the home team than skeptics believe they should.
When you're a Torontonian, you got to cheer for the Jays, the Raps, the Leafs. You just got to.
Produced by Evan Pancer, Johnathan Price, and Chad Rabbets. Technical producers, Chad Rabbets and Evan Pancer. Narration by Johnathan Price. Written by Johnathan Price, Evan Pancer, and Chad Rabbets. Interviews by Johnathan Price and Evan Pancer. Reporting by Evan Pancer. Musical selection by Chad Rabbets.